Dad was 2nd Company, 2nd Regiment. 2nd Regiment was the 1st unit up La Difensa. 1st and 2nd Company were on the mountaintop when the battle engaged, so Dad was one of the first men on top of the mountain.
Monte La Difensa was aptly named. The Germans took advantage of its controlling view of the Liri Valley, and its forbidding cliffs made a defensive stronghold, protecting the southern approach to Rome from the Allies. Despite weeks of attacks, the Allies had found it impossible to remove the Germans. The training and conditioning of the 1st Special Service Force was about to change that. The battle for the summit of Monte La Difensa stands out as the crucible that proved the character, skill, and bravery of the force beyond question. The fighting was fierce, the conditions brutal, and many soldiers of the force perished there.
Well, we used to call it Hill 960. That means 960 meters, and that's how they were naming them.
On the night of December 1st, they were trucked up to an area. They marched through the snow and rain and reached this point by the morning of December 1st.
I think anybody in their right mind welcomed the rain, because in the pouring rain, their observation was poor.
They spent the day of December 2nd just staying out of sight of the Germans, because the Germans were all up on this high ground.
We were right underneath the Germans. We were all set to go when it got dark.
Air and artillery attacks began around 10 p.m. to pummel the enemy and distract their attention. 64,000 rounds of high explosives, white phosphorus, and smoke shells were used in the heaviest concentration of artillery fire during the entire Italian campaign.
A 4-hour barrage, a creeping barrage up the mountain.
The night of December 2nd, 4 scouts went up and set the ropes.
We had some people who were mountain people and who knew what they were doing. They went up and laid ropes in. We climbed up those ropes. I had a rifle, ammunition for it, 45 automatic with ammunition for it, a bandolier around for the machine gun, and a jerry can of water. And just about dawn, we went over the top.
At daybreak, the battle started. There's some different reflections of what actually started the battle.
I shouldn't tell this story, but it's out now. Partway up, the guy in front of me slipped and hit my helmet and knocked it off. And bang, bang, bang down the hill it went. Ed Thomas said that's what started it all, but I don't think so. I don't think so.
There was fog, there was snow, there was rain. Several of the men said you couldn't see 10 feet in front of you.
We were using a lot of rifle grenades to try and get them out, because there's nothing but solid rock up there. You couldn't dig a foxhole if you wanted to. And they had it all set up, and they had everything set fine for them. They'd been up there for a long time. Maybe about an hour and a half, or getting up into 2 hours, and you could see that they're not going to be there for very much longer. They were going to get out.
After the force, on the morning of December 3rd, 1943, the Germans still held the high ground, so the force was forced to work their way across the open fields, literally from rock to rock, inch by inch, because the Germans had it bracketed both with machine gun fire, with snipers, and they were deadly accurate with mortars.
It's just when the mortars started coming in, you never hear the one that gets you. Well, it got my American friend Clyde and I guess it must have hit pretty close in, because some of the guys said I got blown about 15 feet in the air. I came to, I was laying on a stretcher just off the top of the mountain, and it was sort of an indentation. And I was laying in there, and Ed Thomas, he jumped into the little foxhole that the Germans had built, and a couple of guys were in there, and he got sliced in the leg with a bayonet. He was in this little hole where I was, which was over the top, and now you're out of the way, because the Germans had a lot of snipers around there as well. You didn't dare put your head up or do anything. I came to a couple of times, but we got taken out of there and taken down to the evac station. Anyway, We got the mountains.
Monte La Difensa was just the beginning of a bloody campaign known as the Winter Line. For the force, there would be more mountains, more fighting, and more casualties.
The force went into the mountains on December 3rd of 1943, came out of the mountains on January 17th of 1944. 1,800 men, 3 regiments of 600 each, went into the mountains, and fewer than 500 were taken out of the mountains 6 weeks later.
The loss of life, the tragedy, we've got a feel of what happened up there now, and many of the veterans who've been with us have been up there, and they say a few things, but they don't say a lot.
I was working in the power block. Western Union was downstairs when the telegrams would come in. And it would just be kind of like a feeling all over town when those telegrams would start being delivered.
Well, when that first person, the first woman, and I don't remember her name, but when she got the telegram her husband was killed, it was, we all, I think all of us just
Well,
felt.
we all wait for the telegram to come, to our door.
Yes.